I'm always amazed when it works now. What's up? Man, I got to tell you, what an exciting day. I thought that after the election, but I was silly of me. I thought that after the election, there would be less to talk about. But really, the opposite is true, because the election was it was just the first step. Now the real fun begins. Now the real work begins. Now we have actual stuff to discuss. The Making America Great Again has officially begun, and as a result, we have really some incredible things that we've got to talk about. So many incredible things that we've got to talk about, and it appears that Donald Trump, President-elect Donald Trump, his plan is to just make history every single day. His plan is to make America great again and make historic leaps and bounds all along the way. And we're starting to see that in every decision that he and his transition team are making. We're starting to see that in the plan that he's putting forth. Donald Trump is not waiting. Donald Trump he's not waiting around. He's not waiting for anyone's permission. He's not waiting for Kamala Harris to get out of the way. He's diving in. He's got his team working hard. He's already making historic decisions, and he's dropping bombs on the deep state. He is blowing up the government before he even steps back into office. And the media, they can't even keep up, because they're still trying to figure out how they lost. And they're still trying to figure out, do they even have a place in this world? The answer is no. But that's the short answer. There's a much longer answer. Plus, there's another battle brewing in the Senate over who's going to be the next Senate Majority Leader. Oh, so much to talk about. Oh, so little time. So we're going to get right to it. If you missed the announcement yesterday, this is amazing. This is amazing. CNN was just perplexed. They were awestruck. They were dumbfounded that they had to report on this historic decision by Donald Trump yesterday.
Donald Trump has just announced moments ago that he is going to name Susie Wiles, his campaign co-chair, to be the chief of staff of his presidency once he gets to office starting in January. And I do want to read you the statement here. He says, Susie Wiles just helped me achieve one of the greatest political victories in American history and was an integral part of both my 2016 and 2020 successful campaigns. Susie is tough, smart, innovative, and is universally admired and respected. Susie will continue to work tirelessly to make America great again. It is a well-deserved honor to have Susie as the first ever female chief of staff in United States history. I have no doubt that she will make our country proud. As we talked about earlier today, Susie had been the top contender going into this. She is someone who makes Donald Trump feel comfortable. She is also someone who has really lasted the longest in Donald Trump's orbit, a place that is known for knife fighting and backstabbing. She has been loyal to the former president, a constant by his side since he left office in 2021. One thing I will say, Jake, she had some stipulations that he clearly agreed to, telling one source that she didn't want the clown car to be able to have access to the White House at any time, meaning those people who they don't want near Donald Trump. She clearly won that argument. She will be the first female chief of staff in United States history.
No clown car near the White House. There going to be no clown car outside. She doesn't want those people near Donald Trump. We're not really sure who those people are. I mean, I have some ideas, but that was her one stipulation. Also, I take offense to CNN saying that it's an orbit full of backstabbing and knife fighting. I don't think that's an accurate depiction of Donald Trump's orbit. But nonetheless, this is really amazing. Think about this: Donald Trump, misogynist, woman hater, somebody who disrespects women, somebody who the media has been telling you is just abhorrent, has said and done terrible things to women, was brought up on charges against E. Jean Carroll and Stormy Daniels and all this other stuff. All of these accusations we've heard about Donald Trump and women. And now here he is, Donald Trump, the guy who was supposedly going to take away all of women's rights, has elevated a woman to the highest office in the White House, other than president, for the very first time. I mean, the chief of staff runs the White House. It's exactly what it is, chief of staff. It's the president and the chief of staff. And that's it. And never before has a female held that job. Never before has a woman been given the opportunity to excel at the highest level of government outside of the presidency. Never before has a woman been entrusted with the United States of America. I mean, if you want to think about it, if you really want to think about it, being the first female president is cool. But if you really want the power, and if you really want to affect change, and if you really want to make America great again, being the first woman chief of staff, that's what gets the job done. And Susie Wiles is fantastic. Susie Wiles was chosen for a couple reasons. And we know a lot about her here in Jacksonville because she's from here. She lives right down the road in Ponte Vedra Beach, which is just the ritzy part of Jacksonville. You know, it's like Jacksonville's on the ocean. You've got all the different beaches. There's Jack's Beach, which is where like the commoners go. Then there's Atlantic Beach, which is where like the hipsters and the granolas go. Then there's Ponte Vedra Beach, which is where all the rich people go. And she lives down there with her husband, Pat Summerall from NFL fame. She's a great woman. She's been with Donald Trump as a political consultant in some aspect from the beginning. And as we all know, Donald Trump admires and wants loyalty. Anyone that works for Donald Trump, anyone that works in the Trump White House, he demands loyalty. He wants loyalty. He wants to make sure that the people that are with him are not going to stab him in the back, are not going to vie for him or question him. They're going to work with him. He doesn't want people leaking stuff to the press. That's a big no-no with Donald Trump, and he wants to make sure that anyone and everyone in his new administration has his back. And no one has had his back longer or through more than Susie Wiles. So she's an amazing pick, and she's going to do a great job. And of course, the media has to sit back and go, wait a minute. We thought Donald Trump hated women. We thought Donald Trump was the enemy of women. And now he's elevating a woman to the highest position in his administration? That doesn't really vibe. That doesn't really go with the whole narrative, does it? No, yeah, that's shocking that the government, that the media has tried to lead you to believe Donald Trump is going to have is not the media that Donald Trump, or is not the government that Donald Trump is actually going to have. In the end, there's something else that's very exciting. Donald Trump's been busy, man. He started off early. And he didn't stop. Donald Trump came out and he said, look, we've got some stuff to do. All right. We've got stuff to do. We've got a government to run, and I'm not sitting around and I'm not waiting around. We're going to get this thing done, and we're going to get it done ASAP. And Donald Trump released a video. He released a video yesterday. And this video, I have to tell you, I've seen some bangers, but this video to me is a banger. I don't know if it's gone viral or whatnot, but everybody needs to sit down and watch this video in its entirety. In fact, I'm just going to do you a solid. I'm going to play this video for you right now. I'm going to walk you through it because Donald Trump decided to go into his little studio and he said, we're going to outline a 10-point plan for making America great again is the greater concept. But to really do that and to really make America great again and to really start, we gotta get rid of the deep state. I mean, we're going to make America great again, but the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get all the corruption and the criminals and the traitors and the backstabbers and the leakers. We're going to get every lech. We're going to get every broken piece of this system out of there, and we're going to do it quickly. And Donald Trump makes no bones about it, and he makes some amazing points. And I'm going to play it for you. We're going to talk about it. This was Donald Trump. He chose Susie Wiles, and then he said, now that I have my chief of staff in place, here's what we're going to do. Buckle up, B-words. It's going to be a wild ride.
Here's my plan to dismantle the deep state and reclaim our democracy from Washington corruption once and for all.
Okay, by the way, I'm sorry to interrupt. Let me just start off there. This is Donald Trump again. The man speaks his mind. He says what he means, and he means what he says. He doesn't try to sugarcoat it and say, hey, this is my plan for the next 4 years to make America. He's like, this is my plan to dismantle the deep state and get rid of the corruption. And he knows that the reason he was reelected with such a landslide, he knows the mandate that the American people gave him was because of the corruption. But was because of the lawfare, was because of the use of the federal government and her agencies as weapons against political adversaries. Everybody saw it. We all witnessed it firsthand. We've seen it over and over again. Donald Trump said, okay, now that I'm back, here's what's going to happen.
And corruption it is. First, I will immediately reissue my 2020 executive order restoring the president's authority to remove rogue bureaucrats, and I will wield that power very aggressively.
Rogue bureaucrats. I love it. He's going after the rogue bureaucrats. Now, what are rogue bureaucrats? Rogue bureaucrats are people who have been in Washington, D.C. in appointed positions. These are positions of power that were handed to them. They were never elected. These are positions of power that, they could have forever. In fact, there's a lot of people in Washington, D.C. that have, they always say, oh, I've worked with various different administrations. If somebody comes in and says, I've worked with Bush and Clinton and Obama and Trump, if they've worked with that many different presidents, it just means that they've been hanging on way too long, that they're wishy-washy fence post sitters, and that they will do and placate anybody just to keep their paycheck coming. You don't want those people in Washington, D.C. And a lot of them go rogue. A lot of them decide, hey, I've been here longer than the president. I'm going to be here longer than the president. I know what's better than the president for the United States of America, so I'm just going to do my own thing. Donald Trump's like, you ain't going to do that anymore.
Second, we will clean out all of the corrupt actors in our national security and intelligence apparatus, and there are plenty of them. The departments and agencies that have been weaponized will be completely overhauled so that faceless bureaucrats will never again be able to target and persecute conservatives, Christians, or the left's political enemies, which they're doing now at a level that nobody can believe.
Okay, so what he said, and this is obvious. This is the FBI. This is the CIA. This is the Department of Justice. This is Christopher Wray. Donald Trump, you can't, listen, you have to expect this. If you're in the FBI or the CIA or one of these other agencies, you cannot go into a man's home with a warrant. I get it. You cannot go into a man's home, rifle through his stuff, bust open his safe, pick through his wife's unmentionables, search his wife's underwear drawer. You can't do that and then leave and then expect there's not going to be repercussions when he comes back to office. You cannot just take advantage of the system and expect that he's going to let you get away with it when he returns to power. Donald Trump saying this whole thing with the FBI, them coming to Mar-a-Lago with their warrant, rooting through this, rooting through that, looking for these documents. The whole system is corrupt, from the judges who signed the warrants to the agency heads who okayed the raid, all of this stuff. And it ends right now. And it's not just the FBI. We're just picking on them because we all saw that unfold live on television. No, it's the FBI, it's the CIA, it's the DOJ, it's the IRS, it's everybody. And Donald Trump is going to clean house.
Impossible. Third, we will totally reform FISA courts, which are so corrupt that the judges seemingly do not care when they are lied to in warrant applications. So many judges have seen so many applications that they know were wrong, or at least they must have known. They do nothing about it. They lied to.
They must have known. I love that. I love that line. They've known, or they must have known. They clearly, when you're brought a FISA warrant to spy on Trump Tower during a presidential campaign, clearly you must know that that's a lie. Clearly, when you see this Steele dossier that was bogus, that was fake, that was fiction, that was bought and paid for by the Hillary Clinton campaign, clearly when you read that Donald Trump was so angry with Barack Obama that he checked himself into the same hotel and hired prostitutes to go number one all over the bed sheet. Clearly, as a FISA judge, you're going, huh? Wait, what? Come on. This isn't real, is it? No, the FISA judges are like, all right, here you go. Yeah, all right, go ahead and spy on this presidential candidate. And Donald Trump saying we're going to root it all out. There's corruption in every part of it. And he's been keeping, this is not the late, this is from the beginning. We're talking about 2015. Donald Trump has a list from 2015. And he's like, okay, the FISA courts they've got to be purged. The FBI and the CIA, we've got to rebuild them from it's everything. It's everything. He's got a plan. He's got 4 years. He's putting together the team, and he gonna do it.
To expose the hoaxes and abuses of power that have been tearing our country apart, we will establish a Truth and Reconciliation Commission to declassify and publish all documents on deep state spying, censorship, and corruption. And there are plenty of them.
The Truth and Reconciliation Department. The Truth and they're going to, and this is different from the, because do you remember when they had that whole, what was it, the misinformation czar that they were going to put in? This is different. This is Donald Trump establishing a commission to go in and declassify documents. This isn't censoring. This is the opposite. This is opening. This is a full transparency. We're going to go in. We're going to look at the documents about deep state corruption, about deep state censorship, about all these different things, and we're going to make those available to the public. We're going to make sure that the government cannot control your flow of information. They cannot suppress your rights. They cannot censor you or get other agencies and corporations like Facebook, like Twitter, to censor you on their behalf. I mean, Twitter, literally, the FBI would wake up every day, or somebody in the FBI would wake up every day, and they'd go through Twitter and go, all right, what are the Republicans saying today? And they go, clip, no, clip, no, clip, no. And they'd send it to Twitter, and Twitter would go, okay, here's today's list. Delete, 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 block, 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 deplatform, deplatform, delete, block, delete, deplatform, delete, platform, delete. And that was it. And then the government would send them money. The government would give them money for their time, millions of dollars. So it was a win-win situation for both Twitter and for the government.
Fifth, we will launch a major crackdown on government leakers who collude with the fake news to deliberately weave false narratives and to subvert our government and our democracy.
Look at that. We're gonna crack down on the leakers, all you leakers. And Donald Trump knows a thing or two about leakers, because leakers they've leaked things through his entire first presidential campaign. The whole thing with his White House was just, I mean, it was full of leaks. And these are people that would leak stuff and information to the fake news. And as he pointed out, the fake news, they would manipulate it. They wouldn't just report on it, they would manipulate it. They would lie about it. They would propagandize it. They would turn it into clickbait headlines and fabricated stories just so that they could, A, make more money, and B, destroy Donald Trump from the outside in. And he's like coming after. He's like, look, we're not just going to come after you. We're going to punish you.
Possible we will press criminal charges.
Criminal charge. It's possible. Look, you may think we're just going to shut you down. We're going to shut you down, and we're going to prosecute you for criminal charges for doing something that is against the law, which is sharing classified and secret information.
Sixth, we will make every inspector general's office independent and physically separated from the departments they oversee, so they do not become the protectors of the deep state. Seventh, I will ask Congress to establish an independent auditing system to continually monitor our intelligence agencies to ensure they are not spying on our citizens or running disinformation campaigns against the American people, or that they are not spying on someone's campaign like they spied on my campaign.
Now, this is interesting to me because these two are kind of, first of all, the inspector generals, I didn't even realize every inspector general for every department was actually attached to the department that they're inspector general for. Makes no sense. Of course they should all be separated. Of course, if you have the inspector general and they are in charge of or linked to the department that they're auditing, of course they're going to become cheerleaders for that subsection of our government instead of investigators. And so that makes perfect sense. But then he gets into the whole deep state spying. It's like, you're not going to spy on me. You're not going to spy on American citizens. You're not going to do any of that. There will be no deep state spying on Americans. I don't care who they are. President or plumber. No American. And this goes to the J6ers. This goes to everything. It's going to stop. The government agencies like the CIA, like the FBI, like the DOJ, like all the all the other intelligence agencies, their job is to spy on our enemies and collect intelligence about enemies that are trying to harm us, not their own citizens who they disagree with or who they think are spreading information that is not false, not misinformation, but different information. Different information than the information the government wants you to get out. Like, the government is corrupt. The government is lying to you. That's information the government doesn't want to get out there, so they spy on you and tell you that you're spreading misinfo. Let's continue.
Eighth, we will continue the effort launched by the Trump administration to move parts of the sprawling federal bureaucracy to new locations outside the Washington swamp. Just as I moved the Bureau of Land Management to Colorado, as many as 100,000 government positions could be moved out, and I mean immediately, of Washington to places filled with patriots who love America, and they really do love America.
This is I want to take a minute here. This is something that's fascinating to me, and this is something that makes perfect sense, and it's incredible. Washington, D.C. is just the hub. It's all government agencies. Really, Washington, D.C. and the Maryland and Virginia suburbs, all government agencies. It just started here, and as government grew, it just spread and spread and spread and spread. And what happens is now you have government working in this bubble of the DMV. And so what happens is when you go to DC, it's all government workers. Everybody works for an agency. Everybody knows each other. If you get fired from one agency, you go work for another one and vice versa. People stay there for years and they all kind of talk to each other and listen to each other. And they become this government bubble. Like the industry of DC is politics. And so what happens is they forget what's going on in the rest of the country. They forget what's going on outside of the DMV. They forget what's going on, here in Florida or up in upstate New York or over in Montana or Colorado or even California and Oregon, all of the states in between, Idaho. A lot of stuff going on in Idaho that maybe the government doesn't know about because they're locked in their little government bubble. And by breaking that up and moving these different agencies all over the country, not only do you kind of destroy the clique that is the DC bureaucracy, but you're also getting some really great info from other people that might be able to help the government run a little bit better. People who are Christian, patriotic, people who, are just different, people who aren't all just lawyers. I mean, think about it. There are so many people in the middle of this country and in Texas and in Iowa and Ohio and all these places that could they could do the jobs that these government agencies are set to do, but they're all just in this government hub in Washington, D.C. And Donald Trump's like, that's it. We're moving. We're changing it all. We're going to make the government of the United States, we're going to pepper it around the United States so that we can actually become more in tune with everyone in the United States. It's a brilliant plan. It's well overdue. And I'm excited to see that it's happening immediately.
Ninth, I will work to ban federal bureaucrats from taking jobs at the companies they deal with and that they regulate. So they deal with these companies and they regulate these companies and then they want to take jobs from these companies. Doesn't work that way. Such a public display cannot go on, and it's taking place all the time, like with Big Pharma.
Okay, that's a Matt Gaetz thing. That's got Matt Gaetz' fingerprints all over because Matt Gaetz has been fighting for this for a long time. You should be banned for life from working for one of these government agents, for one of these special interest groups or lobbyist firms if you are a member of Congress or Senate. Because basically what happens is, right, like you go to Congress, you go to the Senate, you start working with these special interests, and they're like, hey, I'll tell you what, you're not going to be in Congress forever, right? So why don't you vote this way? Why don't you help me get the contracts that I need? Why don't you do things that are going to be beneficial to my company? And then when you're out of Congress or when you're out of the Senate, guess what? We got a job for you. And we're going to give you full benefits. We'll give you retirement. We'll give you a cush salary. We'll put you on the board, whatever it is. Doesn't matter. You help me while you have the power. And in return, because I can't pay you now, I'll just give you a six-figure job and a free Mercedes-Benz and, 9 weeks off a year. Whatever it is you want, you can get. So they work with these agencies while they're in Congress. And then when they leave Congress and the Senate, they go right into those agencies and get hired. And it breeds corruption. And Matt Gaetz has been fighting against it forever. And Donald Trump and Matt Gaetz are on the same page. They work really well together. And now Donald Trump is saying that's one of the things, that's one of my 10 points in the plan. That's what we're going to do. We're going to make sure that that these things stop, that that you'll have a lifetime ban on going to work for one of these companies if you worked in the federal government. And then we get to number 10, which is one of my faves. It's always been one of my faves, and I'm so excited about it. And before I play it for you and delve into it and dissect it for you, I'd like you to subscribe to my channel. Whatever, if you're like, wow, this is great so far, I need more of this information. Like I said, this is just the beginning. Every single day, we're going to be bringing you this information. We're going to be bringing you this entertaining inspiration. We are going to keep you abreast of what's going on in the world, how it affects you via podcast and live stream and video and short video and X feed, whatever, all of it. And the best thing you can do right now, if you haven't yet, is subscribe to this channel. If you're on YouTube, set the notifications as well. If you're on Rumble, subscribe, thumb it up, share this. If you're on Facebook, we got to spread the word. And, Facebook doesn't like us spreading this kind of word. So we need all of your help. So just take a minute, take a second, subscribe, set notifications, share this post, and then we'll get to number 10, which is here, I'll wait. Okay, good. Here we go. Here's the 10th part of Donald Trump's plan to dismantle the deep state.
Finally, I will push a constitutional amendment to impose term limits on members of Congress. This is how I will shatter the deep state and restore government that is controlled by the people and for the people. Thank you very much.
There you go. Term limits on Congress. Term limits. This, and not just term limits, but at a constitutional amendment. I will propose a constitutional amendment for term limits. That is something that we have needed for a very long time. That is something we've been fighting and suggesting for a very long time. In fact, history lesson. In 2016, when Donald Trump first came to the White House, Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, was Representative Ron DeSantis from Florida's 6th Congressional District. He teamed up with Ted Cruz, senator from Texas, who is still Ted Cruz, senator from Texas, and they came together with a proposal for an amendment to do exactly this. I had a Sunday night show, and Ron DeSantis came on my show, and I talked to him about it, and he said, here's the plan. We got to get term limits in Congress. We got to get term limits in the Senate. There's a bunch of Republicans that are all for it. Ted Cruz is all for it. And the reason is because you get people like Nancy Pelosi. You get people like Chuck Schumer. You get people like Mitch McConnell who go to Washington, D.C., make a career out of it, and then their entire livelihood, their retirement, everything in their lives is tied to their ability to stay in Washington as long as possible. And the longer they stay there, the more powerful they become. And they don't become elected officials anymore. They become these deep state Washington bureaucrats. They're uniparty. They don't really have any allegiance to anybody. And they start to abuse their power, again, to keep themselves in power. Well, if you're limited in term, then guess what? You don't have that power. You're limited. The way it worked back then, and again, this was 2016 when I interviewed Ron DeSantis. I wonder if I can go back and find it. But as I recall, the way it worked is, first of all, there would be a grandfather clause because you're not going to get anybody to vote for it if they're voting themselves out of office. And what that means is current elected officials would not be subject to the term limits. So if you're an elected official right now, which means everybody elected right now in the Congress and the Senate could stay there till they die. That's how you get this thing passed. You allow the grandfather clause. But anyone new, after the amendment passes, anyone new would be term limited. And as I recall, again, it's been a while, I believe it was 2 terms for senators, which would give you 12 years, right? Which is longer than that's longer than the president is there for. That's longer than governors are allowed in most states to be governors. I mean, 12 years seems like an ample amount of time for you to go and serve your country and then leave. And then for Congress people, I believe it was 4 terms for a total of 8 years that you would serve. And there's a couple of ideas around this. Again, public service is not supposed to be your full career. Public service is supposed to be something you do for the public good. You're not supposed to go out there and make a career out of it. You're supposed to work in the private sector, learn valuable skills, go serve your country, and then leave and go back to the private sector. That's how government's supposed to work. It's not how it works at all. And then there's the aforementioned corruption. The other thing that people don't realize is the real power in the House of Representatives and in the Senate is on the committees, right? Like if you're on the Armed Services Committee, you get some real power. If you're a chairman of a committee, forget about it. The chairpersons of these committees have the real power. The Judiciary Committee, the Ways and Means Committee, the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, they basically run the government's pocketbook. They tell you, they're like, you're getting money, you get nothing. You're getting funded, you're getting broke. That's what they do. And so the power is there. But in order to get on a committee, you've got to be the good committees. You've got to be in Congress for at least 4 or 5 years, 6 years. And then to be a chairman, forget about it. You've got to be there like 10 years. You have to run and be elected at least 5 times before you ever get to be a chairman on any of these committees. And Donald Trump said enough is enough. And he'll get support from Republicans. There was already support the first time around. Now Donald Trump is going to make this a priority. Will it pass? An amendment is always tricky because it's an amendment to the U.S. Constitution. There haven't been that many of them, and they're difficult to pass. And as you know, now would be the time to do it because it seems like our country is more leaning toward one side. All of that red we saw on the map over and over again shows that the country seems to be in tune with what Donald Trump wants to do, and that is save our republic, save the democratic republic that we have, and make sure that the corruption and the lawfare and everything else is rooted out. So if you're going to do it, I would say now's the best time. But that's Donald Trump's plan. That's his 10-point plan to make America great again, to root out the deep state and the corruption. And he's got Susie Wiles, the first ever female chief of staff on board to do it. And I'm all about it. I think it's really exciting. I think it's thrilling. Not only that, but he's going to start drilling for oil. He's going to bring down the price of everything, and he's going to begin the most massive deportation effort in American history. Oh, speaking of which, by the way, there's this other there's a couple things on TikTok I saw that really tickled me. They should call it Tickle Me Talk. Although that sounds dirty. They should. I think TikTok's probably fine. There's a couple things on TikTok that really made me kind of giggle. One of them was this woman posted, check this out. This was a Kamala Harris mural, and this guy, I guess it was on the side of a building somewhere. I'm not even really sure where it was, but she got video footage of the owner of the building or somebody else painting over.
You gotta see me that one.
My girl just lost a day ago. Like, damn.
Yeah. They were painting. It's a huge wall. It's a mural of Kamala, and she's smiling, and it's all bright and whatever. It's back in her joy phase. And he's got this bright red brick-colored paint, and the dude has this roller that's like 40 feet long, and he's rolling the whole side of the building, and this woman drives by, and there is just, you can see a little bit of her face and a little bit of the smile, and he's just painting right over her because he's done with Kamala on the side of her building. She's like, damn.
You gotta see me that one.
My girl just lost a day ago. Like, damn.
Justin, come on, give her a minute to breathe. We're moving on. Kamala's got to go. There's another guy. This one went totally viral. I think Charlie Kirk retweeted it or something, but oh my gosh. This guy, this is, by the way, the typical Kamala Harris voter. This guy is so upset about Kamala Harris losing and Donald Trump winning that he's one of these, I'm going to leave the country guys. You know, there's a lot of those. He's going to leave the country. Guess where he's going to go? In fact, you don't have to guess. I'll just play it for you.
Okay, so since Trump won the election, we're cooked. Yup. I'm going to be leaving the U.S. and I'm going to be moving to Hawaii. So we'll see how it goes. And I'll update you guys.
Who wants to tell him? Should we tell him now or should we wait till should we wait? Should we, like, what if he gets to, we should wait till don't let anyone tell him. I want him to actually pack up his stuff. I want him to sell whatever he has. I want him to fly to Hawaii, land there, and then realize, wait, what? Wait, what? It is? Wait, he's president here too?
Okay, so since Trump won the election, we're cooked. Yup. I'm going to be leaving the U.S. and I'm going to be moving to Hawaii. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we're gonna keep us posted. That's real, by the way. That's not. I thought it was a joke at first. No, that is a real person. That is a real person on TikTok saying that they are going to leave the country and they are going to go to, wouldn't you know it, Hawaii, because I guess that's the most palatable place. They don't want to go to Canada. Canada's way too cold. You don't want to go to Mexico because Mexico, they're broke. And there's gonna be a whole bunch of people returning to Mexico. So you know what? Hawaii seems nice. They've got the ukuleles, they've got the poi, they've got the grass skirt girls. Although he didn't seem like that would be something that would interest him as much. Anyway, so that's what you got. You got Kamala Harris voters who are painting over. They're painting over their Kamala Harris murals, and they're moving to Hawaii because they just can't handle it. They just can't handle it anymore. There was something else that happened too. This is kind of funny. The media, by the way, they've just been beside themselves. The media, they just can't handle what's been happening. And some of them are starting to come around to it. Others are still just as ridiculous and dishonest and full of crap as usual. Nicole Wallace is one of them. Nicole Wallace was on where is she? NBC or wherever she is. Listen to her. Listen to what she says, because here's what happens. The media is now blaming, they're pointing the blame. They're trying to blame, why did Kamala Harris lose? No one wants to say Kamala Harris sucked as a candidate or the Democrats have destroyed America. They can't admit that. So they want to point blame. And a lot of them are pointing blame to Joe Biden for saying stuff like this.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
Yeah, or because Joe Biden waited too long for them to get a decent candidate to run. Although I look around the Democrat Party, I'm going to be honest, I don't see a lot of decent candidates who can run. Then they point blame at Joe Rogan and Elon Musk and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and all these other people. And Nicole Wallace even said, listen to what she said about Twitter/X.
I have this sort of insatiable interest in every bit of wisdom you can impart. And as a journalist, I hear you about girding ourselves for this moment. As a human, I deleted Twitter today as an act of self-preservation, and because I was no longer able to find the things I was interested in and was seeing a lot of things that I'm not.
As a human, I deleted my Twitter today as an act of self-preservation. Oh, really? Because this looks like you, Nicole. Let's see. I just want to make sure I have the right Nicole Wallace. Mom, dog lover, host of Deadline White House, airing for a couple of hours these days on MSNBC. Maybe I misunderstood.
I have this sort of insatiable interest in every bit of wisdom you can impart. And as a journalist, I hear you about girding ourselves for this moment. As a human, I deleted Twitter today as an act of self-preservation, and because I was no longer able to find the things I was interested in and was seeing a lot of things that I'm not.
I mean, does she not?
I have this.
Does she not know that we can check? I mean, it's not that difficult. It's a pretty easy fact check. It's amazing how, like, and this is the thing about the left. They've forever been in control of the media narrative. They've forever been in control of the truth narrative or the misinformation police. They've forever been the fact checkers. Well, and this proves exactly, they knew that they could say whatever they wanted to. David Muir could say whatever he wanted to about Donald Trump or lie about Donald Trump. George Snuffleupagus, same thing. Anyone in the media could just say the worst, most deplorable lies about the former and future president of the United States. Kamala Harris, she got away with whatever it was. She wanted to say the suckers and losers comment about Donald Trump was fine, no problem. No one was going to fact check her on it. She wanted to say Donald Trump said there would be a bloodbath if he didn't become president. Fine. No one would fact check her on it. Nicole Wallace comes out. She's playing by the old rules. And the old rules are you can say any dumb lie you want and nobody's going to call you on it. Now, you can't say you deleted your Twitter because we can go on Twitter and see you didn't. It's right there. And we know that's you because in your bio, it says host of Deadline White House, airing for a couple hours these days on MSNBC. This is what's happening to the media. The media is having a breakdown. They are apoplectic. They cannot believe it, and they are all trying their darndest to pass the blame. They're mostly blaming. Okay. In all fairness, Van Jones, surprisingly, is laying some blame on the Democrats. Van Jones is laying the blame on some Democrats. He's saying they ignored the truth. They ignored what Donald Trump was doing. They were laughing at Donald Trump, and now they're paying the price.
And here's how we got beat. We got beat because the Republicans and the conservatives built a different media system that had to do with online, had to do with podcasts, had to do with streaming platforms, and they were spending their money there. We were laughing at them and knocking on doors in Philadelphia and Detroit. It's like, there's no Trump people. They're not dropping literature. They're not knocking on doors.
In fact, it was laughing like, oh, Elon Musk and Charlie Kirk with their PACs don't know what they're doing.
We were making fun of Donald Trump for having thrown away his ground game and doing some weird stuff online. We thought that they were idiots. It turned out we were the idiots. We woke up in a body bag because while we were knocking on doors, they were making these phones into 24-hour-a-day political weapons for themselves. And so we got outflanked, outplayed, outbeat by people who told us the whole time that they knew what they were doing.
We were the idiots, Van Jones says about the Democrat Party. We were the idiots. We were out there. This is baffling to me. We were out there and we were knocking on doors and we were handing out pamphlets and we're all going, where's the Donald Trump people? We're in Pennsylvania. It's a battleground state. Where are the Donald Trump people? Why aren't the Donald Trump people banging on doors? Why aren't they handing out leaflets? Why aren't they handing out flyers? Because they're on Joe Rogan. They're on Joe Rogan. They're on Theo Vaughn. They're on the internet. They are on every podcast they go. They're on Aiden Ross's live stream. They're reaching more people in Pennsylvania and every other swing state than you will ever reach by handing out flyers. And your candidate went on the Call Her Daddy Sex BJ podcast. Okay, that's fine. You want to go on the BJ Sex podcast, you'll do that. You'll reach a handful of listeners. But you had the opportunity to go on Joe Rogan and you turned it down. You said, no. You said flyers are better than podcasts. And that's why Van Jones is saying we did it to ourselves. They turned their cell phone into every single cell phone in America was turned into a political weapon by Donald Trump and his campaign. That's exactly right. You had the opportunity and you blew it. You hid from the media, you hid from the podcasts, you made fun of Donald Trump for being omnipresent, but Donald Trump was on TikTok every single day getting millions and millions of views. Donald Trump said eating the dogs, eating the cats, and it got turned into a trend that went viral. Donald Trump said Kamala Harris is at a dance party with Beyonce, and that turned into a viral trend as well. And they blew it on the left. They're supposed to be the hip ones. They're supposed to be the cool ones. They're supposed to know about what young people want. They're supposed to be the party of youth. They couldn't even manipulate social media to their benefit. And that it wasn't even. Now some people, I'll be honest with you, like Van Jones, give him some credit. He woke up and realized, man, we screwed the pooch on this whole social media thing. But then there's others, like this guy who looks like a troll doll on MSNBC, who is blaming podcasters and saying that I'll just let him say it.
Particularly the media ecosystem it's not a good one, it's a negative one, it's a radicalization funnel. But what they have done in their online media ecosystem is build a radicalization engine, literally the way militant groups do around the world, that takes people from relatively low-level annoyances with the world. Why are eggs so expensive? Why is my kid learning this new thing in American history in school that I didn't learn? And then moves them through YouTube videos, through podcasts, moves them from that annoyance all the way slowly to a full-blown fascist politics.
Wow, look at that. Look at the podcasts and YouTube videos are radicalization funnels, radicalization machines taking a single annoyance and just amplifying it and amplifying it and amplifying it until it becomes a full-blown fascist movement. Who knew? Who knew that every single day when I came out here and I did my podcast, hey, Mark Kaye Saves the Republic. Every day when I came out here and I did my live stream, what's up? What's up, YouTube? What's up, Rumble? Who knew that this was a radicalization funnel? That's fantastic. I'm going to change the name of everything from the Mark Kaye Saves the Republic podcast to the Mark Kaye Saves the Republic radicalization funnel. What's up, Patriots? Welcome to the Mark Kaye Saves the Republic radicalization funnel. I'm so glad that you guys are here.
It's an elaborate multi-billion-dollar infrastructure, and there is nothing like it on the pro-democracy side. We don't have when a man is just lost and lonely and not yet radicalized, we don't have the equivalent of Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson to move that man in a feminist direction. By the way, we should educate men that it's actually really great to live with a strong woman who makes money. It's actually easier. Life is easier.
But I think
particularly the media.
He's basically saying, look at that. He said, by the way, we should tell men to live with strong women who make money because life is easier. So because you're mooching off your wife? Because you're mooching off your rich girlfriend? Okay, yeah, I guess that would make life easier. They're mad. Here's what they're mad about. They're mad that they woke up and they realized we don't have a female Joe Rogan. We don't have a Joanne Rogan or a Josephine Rogan. We don't have one of those. We have the Call Her Daddy BJ Sex podcast. But the Call Her Daddy BJ Sex podcast obviously doesn't move the needle when you're talking about politics. Shocker, it's a BJ Sex podcast. If you're talking about BJs and sex, seems like a great place to go. But if you're talking about, really important stuff like politics and government and vaccines and the economy and the internet and the future. And I mean, Joe Rogan, look, to his credit, he took the conversations that he would have in a dark room with the black light on and the Grateful Dead while he was smoking a bowl, and he turned it into the largest media empire that we currently have on the planet Earth. And that is something that the left is furious, especially Troll Doll, that they didn't do, that they don't have. We don't have a feminist equivalent of Joe Rogan. And whose fault is that? It's not our fault. It's not the right's fault that we were able to build a radicalization funnel and you weren't. Give it a try. You got 4 years. The founder of Axios was on Morning Joe with Willie Geist, and he actually admitted the hard truth to the legacy media that the legacy media was dead, and it was glorious.
I think all of us have to come to grips with legacy media is just not as important as it thinks it is.
Wow. Look at that. I mean, that Willie Geist's face, by the way, here, let me play you. I have the whole, there's more to the clip. Here it is. Look at this. Axios is saying legacy media isn't as important as it thinks it is.
I think all of us have to come to grips with legacy media is just not as important as it thinks it is.
That's an amazing quote. And to say that on the legacy media makes it even better. Here he is talking about what is important. And again, it's the same. It's Joe Rogan, just FYI.
It is to you. It is to me. That's a relatively small group of people who rely on us for their information. And you have to go into the world as it is, not as you wish it to be. And basically, the way people get information is shattered into 20, 30 different pieces. And so if you just look empirically at the numbers, Joe Rogan's more important than any of us. He just has a much bigger, hyper-connected audience that listens to his every word.
Okay, that's the founder of Axios. And he said, this is amazing. He said Joe Rogan is more important than all of us, meaning television and radio and media. And Willie Geist in the background sighs right into his microphone. And it's one of those, it's not like it's not an exasperated sigh. It's an angry sigh. Listen carefully. I'm going to crank it up. Listen carefully. Here is this guy from Axios saying Joe Rogan is more important than all of us. And Willie Geist angrily sighing into his mic.
Joe Rogan's more important than any of us. He just has a much bigger, hyper-connected audience that listens to his every word.
I mean, come on. Joe Rogan is more important than all of us. That's what Willie Geist is doing. It's live on television. Joe Rogan is more important than any of you. Joe Rogan, who sits at a table in Austin, Texas, not New York, not LA, not Washington, D.C., Austin, Texas. He's got himself a shed in Austin, Texas. Okay, it's a warehouse. He's got himself a nice little warehouse in Austin, Texas. He threw in a table. He got a bunch of bourbon there. He smokes weed, and he talks into a mic, wears a T-shirt, and he cusses like a sailor, and he talks to world leaders and thinkers and strategists and economists. And more people listen to his podcast than any other media outlet really on earth these days. More so than MSNBC, more so than Morning Joe. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm no Joe Rogan, but I have episodes of my podcast that I have videos on Facebook and YouTube that have gotten millions and millions of views, which is more than any legacy media department or legacy media outlet will get on a daily basis. CNN does not get millions of views from anybody. CNN, MSNBC does not get millions of views on a daily basis. If they get in the high hundreds of thousands, that's a good day for them. And they have very few good days these days. There was another thing, speaking of CNN, there was a woman on CNN who, again, was throwing like cold water on the media narrative and the left's narrative as to why they lost the election. And she's the only Democrat I've heard so far that said, we are stupid and we need to wake up and make some serious changes. And I'm going to play you her clips here in just a minute. But first, I wanted to remind you that we have a fantastic friend in this program, and his name is Chuck Norris. And Chuck Norris, you may remember, he is the action star from all the movies and the TV shows, Walker, Texas Ranger, but he's also like 84 years old. And Chuck Norris, it's amazing what this guy has accomplished, and it's amazing what this guy continues to accomplish. And Chuck Norris has created a video that I've watched, that a lot of people have watched, and it's a 2-minute routine that transformed his health well into his 80s. He did it, his wife did it, and it's all talking about a simple change he made with his diet that transformed 3 internal parts of his body. He has more energy. The guy's still out there whooping booty. He's in the gym every day. He's kickboxing. He says he's never felt more alive and energized in his 80s. And his wife looks fantastic as well. She says she feels like she's in her 50s. They take 10 years off of their life, and it's by making a simple change. I mean, you look at Joe Biden, for example. This guy's low energy. He's shuffling around. He can barely speak. Chuck Norris is older, and Chuck Norris has more energy and vitality, looks better. Look, his beard isn't even gray. This guy made a simple change in his life, and it fixed everything. And this video, which you can find by going to chuckdefense.com/MK, is available for you to watch so you can learn his secret. chuckdefense.com/MK is the website. For convenience sake, I put it in the description of this video, so you can just click on that link after the show's over and you can go watch it for yourself and learn about how Chuck Norris continues to be awesome well into his 80s. chuckdefense.com/MK. All right, this woman's name is Rajinsky. Is it Amy? Something Rajinsky. And she was on CNN. And she is sharing some bitter facts. She's dropping bitter truth bombs all over CNN, and she's a Democrat.
Now, I'm going to speak some hard truths to my friends in the Democratic Party. This is not Joe Biden's fault. It's not Kamala Harris's fault. It's not Barack Obama's fault. It is the fault of the Democratic Party in not knowing how to communicate effectively to voters. We are not the party of common sense, which is what the message that voters sent to us.
We are not the party of common sense. Her name's Julie Rajinsky, by the way. She's a Democrat strategist. She goes, look, I'm going to tell, we got to listen up. Democrats, huddle up. Huddle up. We are not the party of common sense. That's what the voters just told us. We are not the party of common sense. And if you're not the party of common sense, you're the party of nonsense. Not uncommon sense. You're just the party of nonsense. The Republicans, the conservatives, Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, these, RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, Elon Musk, these are the people, Tucker Carlson, me. We're the party of common sense. The Democrats are the party of nonsense. And some of them are fighting it. Some of them are saying, no. Troll Doll is out there saying, no, it's the Republicans. They created a radicalization machine where you put in lonely dudes and you pop out these radicalized white supremacists who will vote for Donald Trump because they listen to Joe Rogan constantly on repeat. Because we take these minor annoyances and we amplify them. But she's saying, no, the reason people voted for Donald Trump and not Kamala Harris is because we're nonsensical people. And then she brought receipts.
When we address Latino, and language, listen, language has meaning. When we address Latino voters as Latinx, for instance, because that's the politically correct thing to do. It makes them think that we don't even live on the same planet.
You don't live on, that's exactly right. We've been saying this for years. This is what we've been saying for years. And we've been called insensitive and racist and white supremacist and far right. We're saying Latinx isn't a thing. It's Latino. You're a Latino. You're not Latinx. That's some BS word made up. It doesn't even make, you can't even say it. You can't even Latinx. No, people were like, what's Latinx? Nobody even knew what it meant. It was nonsensical. And now that they've lost in grand fashion, now that they've lost the entire country, now that they've lost the House, the Senate, the White House, now that they've lost the majority of governorships and state legislatures across the country, now that there are more registered Republicans in this country than ever before, and now that Donald Trump is the first Republican in decades to win an electoral majority and a popular vote majority, they're starting to realize maybe we shouldn't have called Latinos Latinx. Maybe we should have just called them Latinos and focused on real issues.
As they do. When we are too afraid to say that, hey, college kids, if you're trashing a campus at Columbia University because you're unhappy about some sort of policy and you're taking over a university and you're trashing it and preventing other students from learning, that is unacceptable. But we're so worried about alienating one or another cohort in our coalition that we don't know what to say when normal people look at that and say, wait a second, I send my kids to college so they can learn, not so that they can burn buildings and trash lawns, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Wow, look at that. She said normal people. She said normal people. Normal people look at what we do on our college campuses and they go, that's not why I send my kid to school. I don't send him to trash buildings or burn buildings and trash lawns. That's not why I send him. I send him to learn stuff. Are you guys not teaching them stuff? That Harvard University allowed their students to rip down American flags, replace them with Palestinian flags, sit out in the yard. They allowed them to taunt and to torture and to torment Jewish students at Harvard University. They allowed it to go on, yet yesterday or Wednesday, they canceled classes because Donald Trump was elected president. I kid you not. You can Google it. Harvard University canceled. They gave all their kids a mental health day because Donald Trump won the presidential election, but they refused to do anything about the pro-Palestinians going out there, sitting in their campus, destroying their buildings. At Columbia, they broke into the library. They pitched tents. They were ripping down American flags. At the University of North Carolina, thank God, we had the fraternity bros to save the American flag, the stars and stripes, from hitting the ground and getting trashed by these pro-Palestinian weirdos. And the college campuses just sat around going, well, we're going to allow it because we want to make sure that we are allowing all opinions to thrive here at our university. But when Donald Trump becomes president, they cancel classes for mental health. And she said, that's not normal. And people know it's not normal. And they're looking at us and they're going, you guys are not normal. You know what the opposite of normal is? Abnormal. So she's on CNN saying, Democrats, we are nonsensical and we are abnormal. And she's right. And there's more.
And so on and so forth. When we put pronouns after names and say she, her, as opposed to saying, you know what, if I call you by the wrong pronoun, call me out. I'm sorry. I won't do it again. But stop with the virtue signaling.
Look at that. This is great. I love this. I love what the Democrat Party is becoming. She's out there saying, guys, listen up. We are nonsensical. We are abnormal and we are virtue signaling. And we need to stop because that's why we're getting beat.
And just speak to people like they're normal. There's nothing I'm going to say to Michael that I'm not going to say to you, that I'm not going to say to somebody else. I speak the same language to everybody. But that's not what Democrats do. We constantly try to parse out different ways of speaking to different cohorts because our focus groups or our polling shows that so-and-so appeals to such and such. That's not how normal people think. It's not common sense. And we need to start being the party of common sense again.
Yeah, good luck. Good luck with that. Good luck. They want to be the party of common sense.
Okay, so since Trump won the election, we're cooked up. I'm going to be leaving the U.S. and I'm going to be moving to Hawaii. So we'll see how it goes. And I'll update you guys.
Party of common sense. Peter Doocy, but there's more, by the way. Peter Doocy was at the White House. He did a report about an Axios story. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden and the Democrat Party, they've got another problem. I mean, they have a lot of problems. One of the biggest problems that the Democrat Party has is that they lied to the United States of America. They lied to their voters. They lied to the American people when they said Donald Trump would destroy democracy. Donald Trump is an existential threat to democracy. They said that over and over again. Well, Donald Trump won the election. He's going to be president. And Joe Biden walked out yesterday and said, things will be fine. We will go on. Elizabeth Warren said, we will continue to fight. Wait a minute. That's a mixed message. Which is it? Because Joe Biden said repeatedly, in fact, here's Peter Doocy. He read this report from Kamala Harris. Here's what she told her staffers.
And we've now learned what Vice President Harris told her campaign staff on a call after they lost. I'm going to read a quote here. This is from the Vice President. Yeah, this sucks. We all just speak truth. Why don't we, right?
Okay. That was Kamala Harris. That was the Vice President of the United States, a woman who wanted to be the first female president of the United States. And when she was on the phone with her staffers after the loss, talking about what they were going to do next, her quote was, wait, what was it?
Yeah, this sucks. We all just speak truth. Why don't we, right?
Yeah, this sucks. We all just speak truth. Why don't we, right? I mean, that belongs on a t-shirt. That should be, I know there's been some great American quotes. Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country, that kind of thing. I have not yet even begun to fight. What is it? I mean, there's just so many of them. Every single world leader, every single American leader, vice president, president has come up with an amazing quote. And now Kamala Harris has added to that history of great oratory with her quote to her staffers.
Yeah, this sucks. We all just speak truth. Why don't we, right?
That's what that's phenomenal. But here's again the whole point of this is that her staffers weren't happy with her because for years they were told by Kamala Harris, by Joe Biden, by other Democrats, they were told Donald Trump was the worst thing that could happen to the American democracy. Donald Trump was going to destroy the republic. Donald Trump must be stopped.
But also talked to some staffers who did not like that was the vice president's message after months of being told by their bosses that democracy was in danger if they lost. That, of course, changed after they lost, and we have tape to prove it.
He is a genuine threat to our democracy, and that's not hyperbole. That is God's truth.
Donald Trump is an existential threat to our democracy and our most fundamental freedoms.
He's a genuine danger to American security.
Our fundamental freedoms are on the ballot, and so is our democracy.
I mean, you can imagine hearing that over and over again. You can imagine hearing that for years. Donald Trump, a fundamental threat to democracy. Donald Trump is an existential threat to democracy. Donald Trump will destroy our democracy. First of all, it's a republic. Second of all, it's not true. But if you're ingrained, I mean, you want to talk about a radicalization machine. The White House, the media, the press, they have been a radicalization engine for young liberals for years now. And they have targeted Donald Trump. And every time Donald Trump opened his mouth or said something or did something or went somewhere, they would say he's going to destroy democracy. That was their go-to. And now that Donald Trump's president and democracy is still here, they got some splaining to do. And the problem is they can't splain it.
Yeah, this sucks. We all just speak truth. Why don't we, right?
Thank God she didn't. Thank God she never became. I knew it all. I mean, I knew there was no chance in HE double hockey sticks, but that just solidified. Oh, by the way, some Democrats, get this, because we talked a little bit about, what's Kamala Harris going to do now? What's next for Kamala Harris? Kamala Harris, she used to work at McDonald's. She was from a middle-class family. She was a prosecutor. These are all the things we learned repeatedly over and over again that Kamala Harris told us. What's she going to do now? She's not going to be vice president in 73 days. She'll no longer be vice president. She can't go back to the Senate. There's really no role for her in government. The best thing about this is that we've basically destroyed Kamala Harris's political career. So what's going to happen next? You won't believe what some Democrats want her to do next. You probably will. Let me play you this. This is an actual suggestion, again on CNN, from a Democrat as to Kamala Harris's next move.
Liberal. And so I hope that Joe Biden makes the next 10 weeks as consequential as he can. I don't care about drawing outside the lines or what Republicans may think about it. This is within your purview. You can actually do it, and you should do it. And, one more thing, John, is you have a hell of a vice president right there who has a legal pedigree to sit on the Supreme Court, and let Republicans go crazy and ape. I'm even mentioning that option.
You're floating. Are you floating? This is 7:39 a.m. on the East Coast. Did Bakari Sellers just float Vice President Kamala Harris as a potential Supreme Court nominee?
Not only am I floating it, but I want to stir up everything. I want people's heads to explode this morning so we go into the weekend just knowing that the chaos has not ended just yet.
Okay, now this is not only ridiculous, but this is a guy looking to make his name with a soundbite. The fact of the matter, she has the legal pedigree to become a Supreme Court nominee. Does she, though? Does she really? What legal pedigree does she have to become a Supreme Court nominee? She's never been a judge before. She's never been a judge at the appellate level or the state level. She's never been she never sat on a federal bench. She was a prosecutor, or a prostituter, as Tim Walz would call her. She was a prosecutor that we know of. We know that she went after the cartels. We know she did that and the other. She was the vice president. What legal pedigree does she really have to be a Supreme Court justice? Also, there's no opening on the Supreme Court right now. And if there were, it would require Senate confirmation for Kamala Harris to become the next Supreme Court nominee. So I'm not really sure why he thinks Joe Biden, he literally said, Joe Biden should nominate her to the Supreme Court. You don't not just nominate people to the Supreme, it's a lifetime appointment. The way the Supreme Court works is we have 9 justices and they're appointed to life terms. And until they decide that they'd like to retire, like Stephen Breyer did and Sandra Day O'Connor, a lot of them retire. Some of them die on the bench. Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg died on the bench, and a lot of Democrats were really angry with her. Antonin Scalia died on the bench. And that was tragic. Donald Trump, however, we were able to replace him with another constitutional conservative. So these things happen. It's a lifetime appointment or until you decide to step down on your own. You can't just go in and nominate somebody. It would require somebody retiring like today. There's 74 days left. It would require somebody retiring today and then the Senate rushing through some kind of confirmation process and to put Kamala Harris on the bench. And the only person that would step down from the bench today would be a Democrat. And they're all, I feel like, not the oldest people. I mean, Ketanji Brown Jackson just got there. Sonia Sotomayor, I don't know how old she is. Elena Kagan, I don't know how old she is, but I feel like they've still got some years left in them. And I feel like even though they're radicalized judges who like to legislate from the bench, I feel like all of them have more of a legal pedigree than Kamala Harris. Maybe not Ketanji Brown Jackson, because we know the only reason she was chosen was because she was a black woman. Fun fact, also the only reason that Kamala Harris was chosen as VP. So maybe they have an equal pedigree. But this whole DE&I initiative is gone. It's gone the way of the dodo. Donald Trump will probably have another Supreme Court nominee in his next 4 years. As I said before, I imagine Clarence Thomas will look at this as a great opportunity to call it quits. Clarence Thomas has done a lot for this country. He's served as one of the best Supreme Court justices we've ever had. He's been a staunch constitutional conservative, an originalist, and he fought hard. And he went in there and he asked the tough questions. And man, he took a lot of poop from the left and the media. And people have been attacking him and his wife for years. And I would think that Clarence Thomas, now that he knows not only do we have a conservative back, but we have Donald Trump back. Not only do we have a conservative back, but we have a conservative Senate and a House of Representatives, and they can pick anyone from Donald Trump's list of Supreme Court justices. And we can get another we can get another Scalia. We can get another Samuel Alito. We could get another Gorsuch. We could get one of these people and put them on the bench, and they could be younger. And I imagine that Clarence Thomas probably sometime shortly after the inauguration will start to make plans for the next chapter in his life. Maybe not. Maybe I could be wrong. Maybe he likes sitting on the bench. I imagine, though, he'd rather be in his brand new RV cruising around the country with his wife, stopping in at the Walmart, seeing the sights, and not having to take all of the slings and arrows that he gets from the media and the left. Donald Trump's going to have at least one more Supreme Court appointment in the next 4 years, I feel. And that's going to be something that I think is really important. Speaking of the Senate, there is a battle brewing in the Senate, which we have to talk about, because this is something that is, I mean, we just need to, you know what? I just want to keep it real.
Yeah, this sucks. We all just speak truth. Why don't we, right?
Yeah. So I just want to keep things real. Before we get to that, though, I want to remind you about something that's happening on December the 5th here in Jacksonville, Florida. And that is our Mark Kaye's Ho Ho Hold'em charity poker tournament. And we've opened up the tickets to the public. This is our favorite event. Years ago, like 10 years ago, in fact, we're celebrating the 10th anniversary of our Kaye's Kids charity. We came up with, my wife and I, a charity, and it was originally, the original goal of our charity was to purchase iPads for children who were suffering from life-threatening illnesses. And we were able to do a lot of good. We were able to help a lot of kids. But, along the line, things kind of change, except the Democrat Party. And what we did was we realized that a lot of kids already have iPads and iPhones and things like that. So we decided what we're going to do instead is just make their dreams come true at Christmas time. And these are kids, and many of them, unfortunately, are no longer with us. But when they were here, we were able to surprise them and their family with dream trips and gifts and shopping sprees and computers and bikes and, swing sets, anything at all that these kids wanted. The Power Wheels ride-ons, those are always my favorite. And we've been doing it over and over again. And we've helped hundreds of kids, but we keep doing it every single year because, unfortunately, every single year there are new kids who are facing these challenges and facing these life-threatening illnesses. And one of the ways, we take donations and we do that kind of stuff and we worked with sponsors, but one of the ways we found, which was really just, fantastic, one of the best ways we found to help kids and to raise a lot of money and to have a lot of fun was with a poker tournament. And so years ago, we started doing a poker tournament at Best Bet, which is here in Monument Road in Jacksonville. It's the largest poker room I believe, in Florida. At least in Northeast Florida, or Northern Florida, but it's also one of the best and the nicest, and it's fantastic. And we decorate the whole place for Christmas, and we have a charity tournament, and it's not a bunch of pros, it's just a bunch of amateur soccer moms and dads having fun out for a good time. And there's free food, there's a buffet, there's free drinks, there's a $1,000 grand prize. And it's so much fun. It's become an annual tradition. And we have people that come back every single year from all over the country for our Ho Ho Hold'em charity poker tournament. And what I want to let you know was that we have put tickets on sale now on our website. Let me pull that up here real quick and show you. Tickets are now on sale on our website. So if you're interested in attending, there's three different things. There's three different things that you can do. The first thing you can do is you can get a single ticket. And the single ticket gets you free food, free drinks. You get entry into the tournament and the chance at the $1,000 grand prize, plus a bunch of other fantastic choices. There's also a full table. A full table is 8 people. And this, what a lot of people do is if they have a small business or a large business or just a group of friends or a club, whatever, they get together and they make it like a Christmas party. You buy a table and you bring your clients out. You buy a table, you bring out your favorite employees, and you make your least favorite employees stay back at work while you guys are out partying. And we sell full tables. Now, if you buy a full table, you get 8 tickets, but you're only charged for 6. So it's a win-win. It's a win-win. We have people that just get a bunch of buddies together and they buy a table because they get to save a little bit of money. And keep in mind, this is a fundraiser. So every single dime that we raise goes to Kaye's Kids, which is a special times program of Dreams Come True of Jacksonville, a fantastic organization. Now, in addition to the single tickets and the full table, there's something that we like to call the VIK experience. And let me explain this to you because this is fantastic. Best Bet in Jacksonville has a live streaming table. It's a professional table with the RFID cards. So they live stream the tournament all over the world. You can watch and you can see, just like on the poker networks and the poker TV shows, which player has which cards and who's making the right move and who's making the wrong move. And I sit at that table and host the tournament the entire time. And if you would like to be at that table with me, the live Mark Kaye live stream table for the Ho Ho Hold'em tournament, all you need to do is get yourself a VIK ticket. And you get to be at the featured table, live streamed. You get to be part of the show. You get a free swag bag with one-of-a-kind Mark Kaye Saves the Republic merchandise. And, of course, you get everything else. You get the food, you get the drinks, you get all that kind of stuff. Those are limited. There's only 7 of those tickets because a table seats 8, and I'm 1. So there's 7, and we've already sold 1. So there's only 6 left. So whether you want a VIK ticket, a regular ticket, or a full table, all you have to do is click on the link below in the description of this video, or go to kayskids.com, and you can get your tickets. This is December 5th. It's the most amazing event, the Ho Ho Hold'em charity poker tournament. Again, it's our favorite tradition, and it goes to benefit a lot of fantastic kids who really need help smiling at the holidays and really every other day. All right, let's talk a little bit about the Senate. Let's talk about this. The Senate's important, man. This is an important thing going on here in the Senate. In the Senate, we have something called the majority leader. Right now, it's the minority leader because we have the minority, but we won a whole bunch of Senate seats, so we're going to have a majority in the Senate. And with Mitch McConnell retiring, with Mitch McConnell saying, I'm done with this, forget it, I don't want any more, I'm done, I don't want to be in the Senate, I'm old, I've already had trouble with my, he's frozen a couple times. People are like, you got to go. Well, Mitch McConnell needs a replacement. And what happens with the Senate majority leader is the senators in the Senate choose the majority leader by secret ballot, which is kind of shady. And there's been a push this time around from the public, from the voters, from podcasters, from the conservative media to change the system a little bit. First of all, the 2 main contenders, one of them is a guy named John Thune from South Dakota. And John Thune is not a real big Trump supporter. In fact, John Thune at one point said Donald Trump should step down and Mike Pence should be the nominee immediately. This was after, I don't remember what it was exactly, but I think it was in 2016. Donald Trump and John Thune have had kind of this back and forth relationship. But John Thune also is a politician, and he knows now if he wants to get anywhere in the world, he's going to need Donald Trump's support. And he was on Squawk Box, and he was asked about it, and he said, I think Donald Trump should really just butt out of this.
Next Wednesday, and we'll have... Is President-elect Trump involved in does he have a chosen preference in the Senate? Do you know, Senator? And will that come into play?
I don't know that he does. I'm staying in regular contact with him and with his team. And, obviously, if he wants to, he could exert a considerable amount of influence on that. But honestly, I think my preference would be, and I think it's probably in his best interest, to stay out of that. These Senate secret ballot elections are probably best left to senators, and he's got to work with all of us when it's all said and done. But whatever he decides to do, that's going to be his prerogative, as we know. But I think we're going to have that election next Wednesday, and we'll have a new leader.
Is President-elect Trump...
All right, so there we go. So John Thune is saying, Donald Trump, it's his prerogative. Of course, we can't stop him from getting involved, but I feel like this should just be a Senate thing. Of course he feels that way. Why? Because he crossed Donald Trump in the past. He told everyone that Donald Trump shouldn't be the nominee, that Mike Pence should be. Of course you don't want Donald Trump getting involved, because Donald Trump probably is not going to be a huge fan of John Thune being the Senate Majority Leader. And Senate Majority Leader wields a lot of power and needs to work with Donald Trump to get Donald Trump's agenda done quickly. Another guy who's up for the job is John Cornyn, who's like 74, another old dude from Texas. And John Cornyn, also not a huge Donald Trump fan, but the bigger problem with John Cornyn is just Mitch McConnell 2.0. John Cornyn and Mitch McConnell have been buddy-buddy forever. He's been kind of his right-hand man. And so John Thune and John Cornyn are battling it out. But there's a third name that's been popping up. A third name from right here in the state of Florida, Rick Scott. And Rick Scott is about as MAGA as they come. Rick Scott is about as anti-establishment as they become. Rick Scott is a businessman. He's a billionaire. He made lots of money. He decided, I'm going to go be the best governor of Florida that he could be. And he was the best governor of Florida until maybe Ron DeSantis came by. And I think now they're tied. But Rick Scott then went into the Senate. He's an amazing senator. He's an amazing influence. He works hard for conservative values and the people of the state of Florida. And the best part about Rick Scott is he's filthy rich. He doesn't need money. He doesn't need to kowtow to the special interests. He doesn't need to take bribes or kickbacks or payouts or anything like that. He doesn't need to look forward to the future and make decisions in the Senate based on what's going to help him when he retires. He doesn't need one of those jobs. Rick Scott wants to help America. He wants to save the government just like Donald Trump does. He wants to put in place conservative leadership who will pass conservative laws and will work for the American people and not for themselves, and not just power brokers who are going to broker for more power. And Rick Scott is he's the spoiler in this race. And a lot of people are saying, oh, Rick Scott doesn't have a chance. It's either John Thune or John Cornyn, and they're going to duke it out. But it's not going to be Rick Scott. Well, a lot of people are saying Rick Scott not only has a chance, but should be the pick. In fact, Scott Pressler, our good buddy from Pennsylvania, came out and said Rick Scott needs to be the Senate Majority Leader. TPUSA chairman and CEO Charlie Kirk said, you know what? Rick Scott needs to be the Senate leader. Dan Bongino, me, a bunch of other people. Rick Scott was on with, what's his name, on Fox Business, and he was adamant about he pulled a Donald Trump. He was like, this is Donald Trump in 2015. Not only am I going to run, I'm going to win.
You are going to run. Two other... I'm going to run, Larry. I'm going to win. And here's why. I've been talking to my Republican colleagues. Guess what? They want change. They know that Trump has a mandate. They want to be part of that mandate. They want to be treated as equals. They want to be part of a team. They want to have a working relationship with the House. They know I've got a great working relationship with Trump, with Speaker Mike Johnson. They know I'm a business guy. Business guys get things done. We create a plan. We work our mission. We measure things. We create teams. That's exactly what we want in the Senate, and that's why I'll be the next majority leader, and we're going to get Trump's agenda accomplished.
Now, this seems to me like a no-brainer, but it's Washington, D.C., and a lot of these people have no brains. And what he said there is 100% right. A lot of people want change. This is where the whole saving the republic continues. Everyone's like, oh, we saved the republic. Well, we did. But there's new enemies. There's new challenges. There's new things that occur. There's new fights that we have to get into. There's new throwdowns that we got to throw down. And now we know what we want done. We know what Donald Trump wants done. We just heard his 10-point plan. We know how to make America great again. We know we need to shut down the border and deport all the illegals and drill, baby, drill. We know we need to fix the economy and put tariffs on all these products. We know we need to root out the leakers and the corruption in our agencies. And we know that the legacy media is dying and we need to shove that final stake right through its heart. And that's not a threat. That's just a metaphor from vampire days. If any of the censors are watching, that's just a vampire metaphor. But that's what we need to do, and that's what we want to do. And we can't go into the Senate majority. We can't go into a Donald Trump term with people in positions of power who are not on board with the cause, who are not down for the struggle, who are not with the agenda, who are not loyal to the leader. And John Thune and John Cornyn are not loyal to Donald Trump. They are loyal to Mitch McConnell. They are loyal to themselves. They are loyal to the power that they feel that they can get as Senate Majority Leader. Rick Scott is loyal to the American people. He's loyal to the American concept. He's loyal to the American experiment. And he's loyal to Donald Trump and Donald Trump's agenda to make America great again and put America first. And so what does this have to do with you? You don't get to vote for Senate Majority Leader. No. But you get to vote for senator. So wherever you are, Rick Scott is my senator, so I'm not going to call him and tell him to vote for himself because I feel like he's going to. I'm pretty sure Marco Rubio has Rick Scott's back as well because Marco Rubio is also down for Donald Trump's struggle. I know Mike Lee is a supporter of Rick Scott. I know there are a handful of senators that would vote for Rick Scott as majority leader. But the problem is it takes more than a handful. And you have a senator wherever you happen to be, whether you're in Oklahoma, you've got senators. You do have senators. If you're in Ohio, you have one senator right now. Everybody's got senators. Wherever you happen to be, call your senator, write to your senator and say Rick Scott for Senate Majority Leader. That's all you have to do. You leave a voicemail message. Hi, it's so-and-so. I'm one of your constituents, and I want you to know you need to vote for Rick Scott to be the Senate Majority Leader. And it may not be something you've ever done. It may be something you're not comfortable doing. It may be something that you're like, what? Do I even have a voice? Yeah. We need to realize that the American people control the country. If we've realized anything, it's that. And it doesn't just stop after the election. You don't just get to make your voice heard once every 4 years. You get to do it every single day. And we need to be up and we need to be adamant and we need to know what's going on with this country at all times. We need to know what those people in Washington are trying to do to us or for us or against us. And we need to stand up and say something. And if you want to, look, Donald Trump's going to get his agenda done. He's going to do things. He's got Susie Wiles. He's got a great team. He's got Elon. He's got RFK Jr. He's got Vivek Ramos. He's got all of them. He's going to get stuff done. But if you want to turbo boost it, if you want to rocket fuel it, if you want to take away every single speed bump and roadblock and other thing that could possibly slow him down, I don't know, what else, geese crossing the road, whatever it is, then you need to give him every conceivable advantage. And John Thune is not an advantage, he's a disadvantage. And John Cornyn is not an advantage, he's a disadvantage. And Rick Scott is a big, huge advantage as Senate Majority Leader. And he will make sure, just like he said, that Donald Trump's agenda is pushed through the Senate. He's going to work with Mike Johnson in the House of Representatives, and he's going to work with the White House. And you will be amazed at how quickly everything will be changed for the better. I'm excited. I hope it happens. You know what? Screw it. Even though Rick Scott's my senator, I'm going to write him right now and say, Rick Scott, vote for Rick Scott for Senate Majority Leader, because he's the leadership we need in Washington, D.C. There you go. That's very, I'm so excited. I'm so jazzed. By the way, a couple of things. I was kicking around an idea. I don't know if I should mention it yet, though. I don't know. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'm going to kick it around. I'm going to make sure that I have it all planned. And then I'm going to, you know what? Maybe I'll have a special announcement this weekend. That's what I'll do. This weekend, I'm going to go live with a special announcement once I've figured everything out. And the best thing to do is subscribe to this channel and set your notifications. Subscribe to this channel, set your notifications, because that way you'll know when I go live with my special announcement. And not only that, but we have other videos and podcasts, and we do this every single day at noon. So you don't want to miss out on anything. Because like I said, we have not yet begun to fight. We have saved the Republic step 1. Now we go into saving the Republic step 2. And it's going to get tougher. There's going to be battles to fight. And what we should have all learned is that we all have the power to do it. We all have weapons to wield. And that's why we're here. So please subscribe to this channel on YouTube, on Rumble. If you're listening to the podcast and you're a first-time listener and you're going, wow, this is crazy good stuff, thank you. And make sure that you tell your podcast platform, send me more of this crazy good stuff every single day, because I want to stay entertained. I want to stay informed. I want to stay enlightened and inspired. And I want to know what I need to do each and every day to save the Republic. Now, before I leave, I want to show you, because a lot of people are asking about the poker tournament. They're like, wait a minute, do I have to be a pro? No, this is less poker tournament and more poker party. And if you've never played poker, it doesn't matter. We have people that are first timers that come in and we give lessons like 30 minutes beforehand. It's basically just a way to drink and carry on and celebrate a fantastic holiday, Christmas, and also give back to charity. And I'll be there as well. And for those of you that are asking, I believe Hannah will be there as well. So come and hobnob with us. Here's a video we made from a previous year. I hope you enjoy it. And if you're interested in getting your tickets, these things go fast. They go quickly. We're also national. We're all over the place now. We're not just local in Jacksonville, Florida, or in a couple of markets. We are an international podcast. And as we learned from our election night party, at Sneakers Sports Grill was amazing. It was so jam-packed. In fact, you know what? Let me share this with you real quick before I play you the video. It was so jam-packed at Sneakers that they have now, I don't think I have the video, but they have now adopted. They loved it so much. The crowd was so great. You guys were amazing. We brought in a whole bunch of, I'm sure, revenue for them, that now they've dedicated Tuesday nights to podcast night. And they're inviting all these podcasters from all over to come to Sneakers with their audiences to podcast live. So like I said, our events are pretty big. They're pretty popular. And we have people coming from all over the country. These tickets are going to go fast. If you want, and this is the best event of the year. The election party was great. It's not even our best event. This is it. If you want to hang out with like-minded Patriots, if you want to party down with freedom-defending, liberty-loving Patriots, if you want to spend the Christmas holidays with people who are so ecstatic that we got the best gift ever, a second Donald Trump administration, then come to our poker tournament. Click on the link in the description of this video or go to kayskids.com. Here's what you're going to experience. Chop the pot, the final two walk away with $750 each, and we managed to raise over $15,000 for Kaye's Kids. The first annual Ho Ho Hold'em tournament. It's over. It was great. Yeah! I'm gonna go play some poker. Oh, that was from the first one. Man, I was like 15,000. We made like 43 last year, and the tournament has just gotten bigger and better every single year. Make plans to join us. Click the link in the description of this video.